time to wait. Bass too loud and the vibe too great. Let's go, full on fire. Every move hit like a live wire. Let's go, stepping bold. No fear here, just hard to go. Let's go, lights on blast. We don't hold back, we move fast. Hit the flow, we don't miss. Whole room lit like a first kiss. No cap, no stress, no chill.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Jose. It's a beautiful morning. I'm doing well.
Sure is.
It is.
Congratulations to the Commanders. They won this week.
Absolutely.
Game.
It's a winning week.
Yes.
We want to talk about the New York teams today. I got to tell you, I'm beyond excited. We have two incredible women joining us. So let's not waste any time because we are going to talk about leadership, resilience, and transformation. And these women know all about it. So let's go ahead and bring them on. Alethea and Daniela, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good to see you guys.
So we all know leadership. We know what that means. Resilience. How do we combine leadership with resilience even? That's a question for anyone.
I know who's going to take that one.
He must be talking about me because that is what my entire mission is about, is leadership and resiliency. And how do you combine it? Well, you combine it by leading by example. Resiliency, I define as even going beyond simply bouncing back. But resiliency is how do you just not catapult forward, but how do you then go to the next level in spite of what else is happening in your world? So in terms of me, the way that I would define leadership and resilience is how are you leading those you serve while you are still navigating your own life's challenges? And the way that you combine them is that you instill those principles not only in yourself, but onto your team. And part of it too is although we are leading, we also let others pour into us who are also under our leadership because they can teach us a thing or two about how to navigate storms in spite of everything happening in our world. So that's how I combine the two, is not just being the example, but letting those that we lead be examples to us.
I love that. If I can jump in, I'm going to even bring it down to like a 5th grade level. Because it's like,
thank you.
Yeah. Emilio always says that, talks to ChatGPT. He's like, explain it on a 5th grade level. I'm like, okay. So it goes back for me to childhood, right? It's my dad used to say to me, be a leader, not a follower. We all heard that, right? And that was ingrained in me. And I've never been one to like jump in and, follow the crowd just to fit in. I wanted to be the one that's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do my own thing. So that has stayed with me throughout my whole life through challenges. People know my story with domestic violence, whatever. Resilience, like Alethea said, you got to bounce back. And because of how I grew up and what I was taught, no matter what situation, even if I was down for a little bit, I will get back up. And because I know my son was watching me or someone else is watching me. So you have to be that leader and that example for others.
I love that.
And also, I would piggyback on that and say, as you're being the example and you're bouncing back, you can also utilize people around you and watch what they're doing and see what and grow from them and experience what they're experiencing. Either what not to do or what to do, because you're always learning. And this is why it's always good to surround yourself around people and like-minded people like yourself, people going in the same direction, because leaders help others lead, because steel sharpens steel, as Jose always says. So it's a good thing as you're growing as a leader to feed and learn off of other leaders. And that's, I think, what you're saying about resilience.
I'm going to take it a little different. And I teach youngsters, and I teach them that to become a leader, sometimes you have to learn to follow. If you can't follow, how could you ever even know how to lead? So a lot of times it's, yes, observing someone who's doing it correctly, observing someone who's already been there. This is why we need coaches, we need mentors. And for me, it's always about, even now, I don't always want to lead. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? There's somebody who's really exceptional, and I have to follow their cues. And I don't always look to be the leader. It's really interesting when I'm in some rooms, people automatically see me as a leader. I'm like, well, I just want to sit back a little bit. But I believe that true and great leaders know how to follow as well, because this is how we grow. This is how we expand who we are. That's my
Well,
thought.
I will add to that. It's a great thought because that is an actual real thought that I have read in countless leadership books. And that is that in order for you to be a great leader, you must be led, right? So every coach that is a viable coach has a coach. Every mentor has a mentor, right? Every mentor has a mentor. So how can you possibly be leading if you're not learning yourself? Because the reality is the minute you stop learning, you will soon stop leading by default. John Maxwell talks about that all the time. So as you stop learning, you stop leading. And part of learning is knowing that you haven't arrived. Part of learning is having that white belt mentality, that lifelong learner mentality, to where you're saying, you know what, even though I've accomplished A, B, or C, even though I am at this stage in business, even though whatever that might be for anybody, right? And there's different levels to this thing. But the cool thing about leadership and entrepreneurship and success is we never arrive. So knowing that we never arrive and there's always another level, that means you're still learning, and you're usually tapping into somebody who's beyond you, somebody who's ahead of you, even by one step. So that being the case, yes, you have to be able to be coachable in order to coach. You have to be able to be a mentee in order to be a mentor. You have to be able to be a follower following somebody else's lead in order for you to lead other people, because that's part of the learning process and that's part of the deal.
Once
And
a man,
go for it.
I was going to say, once a great philosopher said, I don't want to coach unless he has a coach. That philosopher was Jose Escobar.
I think it's a very important point to make, but I also see so many people, unfortunately, who are leading but might not have a coach. And some leaders that I've come across in my life, even through other environments, industries that I've been in over the years, unfortunately, I think it's a sad state of affairs when you come across a person leading who is not coachable, who cannot take correction, who thinks they have all of the answers. And what I've seen is that trickle down effect of those they are leading, because people become like fish out of water when there's a leader who can't be swayed in a way where they are living it by example. And I think that it's important that those of us here, as well as others who are watching, who are coachable, who are leading and can take correction and continue to choose to evolve and transform and to grow. I think it's important that we do our best to show up and be even more present in people's lives, because there's so many stubborn, willfully stubborn leaders out there too. And we want to change that mentality and mindset of leadership, because unfortunately, even with stats and figures show, especially in the work world, there are people leaving jobs in droves based off of leaders who just simply are not leading effectively due to that fact of them not being able to be followers first.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about transformation for a second, right? How does that equate to leadership and resilience? Because I believe that when we start to look at the whole picture, then we can see how it helps somebody transform from where they were to where they are today. What are your thoughts?
I'll take that. Well, I look at it as, first of all, like just going back a little bit, like being led, we all start with our parents, right? So like Jose, he's leading his kid to, to live a certain way, to believe a certain faith, to, he shows them every day how hard he works. So, that's our first point of contact, I guess, with leadership, right? Is like we watch our parents, and then we get into school and we watch our teachers, and then we watch, and then so on and so forth. And then, you get to a point in life where it's like, okay, we all have choices. So just speaking on me, let's say, when I left home and made certain choices, and then I had to be like, okay, what are the consequences, right? What do I do with this? Do I learn from it? Do I repeat it? So, and then I have, we have children, and then they're watching. So change is inevitable. You either stay the same, keep repeating the same mistakes or the same things, or you change. So it's up to us. So whether you're in leadership, as far as like what Jose does, Sifu, Alethea, what I do in my business, or even if you're in a 9-to-5, right? You have to step up sometimes, because I've been in jobs, I'm sure we all have, where we're seeing our own bosses are like, what are you doing? You're not running this properly, right? And you just want to step in. So, we just have to, again, set by example, and, just know not to repeat the same things, because people are, like I say, people are watching, like we all said, people are watching, our kids are watching. So you always want to do better, right? We just want to keep going and repeating the same things and go backwards. You always want to just keep doing better to show, because people are watching, and you want to show your kids and your clients, or your, whoever it is that's watching you and following your lead. You want to show them, like, you got to keep it moving. Like, you don't just stay. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, with the transformation, you don't just stay in the same spot. You got to keep growing. So that's my 2 cents.
Well. I have to chime in on this. Transformation. First of all, I love your Daniela's Delicious Delights behind you. That's pretty awesome. It's a cool little backdrop there. I gotta say, the transformative process, the transformative journey of success, because in order to achieve success, and success is different for everybody. It's not like one thing. It's like you can't just make a lot of money and say you're successful, because what about your marriage? What about parenting? What about your faith? What about your, health and wellness? I mean, so I think success is a collective thing of cumulative of a lot of different areas of your life. So one thing I will say when it comes to the transformative journey is I just experienced it the other day. I was in Jamaica for a retreat mastermind event that I was speaking at. Big shout out to Jeremy and Stephanie Howell, who hosted that event. And I was there and met some amazing people. And while I was there, I was introduced by an amazing gentleman named Bobby, who's now part of the CLA family, by the way. So I was there, and we were, him and his wife, Shelly, amazing power couple. So he introduced me. And when he introduced me, I was like, oh my gosh, this bio is so outdated. I'm not a 17-time published author. I'm a 21-time published author. Oh my gosh, so I started observing like what he was reading, what he read, and when I came up, and I said, I didn't clarify the details. I just said, by the way, that bio is so outdated. I got to update this thing, right? Kind of laughingly, jokingly. But that example, and that happens to me all the time. In many different, every 6 months, every 90 days, guess what? Something has shifted in a positive direction. Right. And life is going to happen. So we're going to have challenges, and it's not going to be easy. And, you might have a hard conversation with somebody that might need to be removed from your world. That is an uncomfortable conversation. You might have to have a conversation with somebody who's requesting a refund. You might have to have a tough conversation with somebody that's saying, hey, I'm not getting value. Let's talk about this, right? You might have a tough conversation with a family member or a spouse or a child who's getting misled and going down the wrong path. So there's all kinds of things we're going to deal with, right? Debt collectors. I mean, you name it, right? So with this being said, life is going to happen and challenges are going to come. But the key is we just have to make sure that we are always striving towards excellence. We're always improving. We're always embracing the transformative journey, because in order for us to improve, we have to transform, right? They say that personal growth is a choice, right? Change is inevitable. Things are going to change, positive or negative, but personal growth, development, improvement is a choice. You can decide if you want to improve and transform in a positive way or not. And sometimes, just so you know, action and not doing something about something is a choice by default. And if you're not growing, you're decaying. And if you decay long term, you're dead in the water. And then guess what? You have nobody to blame, nothing to point to but yourself. So, yeah, food for thought.
Well,
This
I want just to jump on top of that, because that was a great point. I think the transformation and resilience, it's about constantly working on yourself. And the only thing you can't deal with outside circumstances. You can only deal with what's going on the inside. So for me, transformation and resilience is no matter what is happening, you're working on three things, because these are the only three things you can control: your attitude, your discipline, and your effort. Those are three things you can control. So as you're being transformative and resilient, to me, what that means is no matter what's happening in your life, you are continuing to grow by working on the three things that you can control. And that is, again, your attitude, your discipline, and your effort. So as long as you're working daily on bettering that, like Sifu always says, I'm getting a little better every day. That's about taking control of what you can take control of. So we all here and whoever's listening have an opportunity to, no matter what is going on in your life, daily you are taking steps toward being resilient and being transformative by working on you, because that's all you can control.
so when
After you, I'm going to jump in, okay? After you. Ladies first.
Okay, so when Sifu posed this question, I thought back to something in my childhood, and I don't want letters or emails from insect activists or anything like that. But I was a tomboy until I was about 12 or 13. So I played outside. I played with the Tonka trucks. I climbed trees. I did all of that great stuff. And I'm the youngest child. And so I remember that I would go to a tree, and back then, I mean, caterpillars were everywhere, right? Wads of them. So I would peel them off the tree one by one. And my sister, Dina, would come around. She was always reading a book. So although she went outside, she was still reading a book. And I'd take those caterpillars, get a big old wad of them, right? And then I'd lean back. I had to have been about 6 or 7. I'd lean back and I'd throw them at her to see how many could stick. When they fell on her, she would scream, ah, just screaming everywhere, right? Needless to say, most of the caterpillars didn't quite make it. They fall on the ground and just wriggled away, right? And it made me think about the reason why they just couldn't fly off like that. Why? They were still caterpillars. They hadn't transformed. They didn't have the resiliency to stick on a human as long enough as they would have a tree. And the same goes for us. When we as leaders are leading the pack, leading our lives, leading our homes, leading wherever, if we aren't tacked down in one place and make the choice to grow into that cocoon that will one day blossom into that beautiful butterfly, it amounts to nothing. We will not transform. We will stay stagnant. And so it's very important that we go through that uncomfortable cocoon period where we're in the dark, where we're squeezed tightly, because when that happens, after the right formation, after we get the right nutrients, just like a caterpillar does during that process, we can then bloom and blossom. So that is something I always think about when it comes to transformation. And we have to keep in mind, and that's actually the logo on my podcast, the Power Transformation Podcast, is that there's power in us as leaders going through that stage where we can blossom and bloom. Because if not, honey, we will fall to the ground and will writhe and just not be who we are intended to be. So that's what I think about when it comes to leadership, resilience, and transformation.
I knew I had to go after you. I knew it. So, what I'm hearing is truly that no matter how many people throw you around, if you're not ready to transform, you're not ready. And everything comes at the right time. And so when we think about what's happening December 6th and 7th, I'm going to share with you some incredible people who are going to be on our stage. So take a look. Tell me what you think. Look at that beautiful young lady. And Alethea is going to be a speaker at an event. And then we have Jack coming all the way from Nevada. And then we have Robert Lee, who is just phenomenal. And Pio is going to be there also. But let me tell you about two people who are going to make a difference and going to impact us in ways we may not even have noticed. I'm not even sure which one I should show you first, but I'm going to go with a good friend of mine, right? Also known as Fudge. And funny enough, somebody here on this panel, his cousin knows him because he's in that industry. He's a comedian, he's an actor, he's all these different things. And when we think about what he's going to be sharing with us, he's going to enlighten us in the comedy realm, but he's also going to give us a great message curated just for New York City Experience. And the next person that's going to be with us as well is going to be Monique McDonald. She joined the CLA, and Jose said, you need to come. And she said, I'm in. She's not only going to be speaking at our event, but she's also sponsoring it. So consider we're going to have incredible music, a woman who sings in stages all over the world, a comedian who shares his show all over the world. So it's going to be world class. So the question that I have for everybody is, why haven't you gotten a ticket yet?
Sifu, I've got to say this. I wrote it down here. Monique, by the way, I heard her sing in Jamaica. OMG. I've got to tell you, I've heard some amazing voices in my time. And trust me, not mine. I have a little hoarse this morning. There were so many calls yesterday, my voice started disappearing. It's crazy. But I can tell you that her voice is angelic. It's like a voice of gold. It is absolutely crazy. Her voice. It is. I've never heard something so powerful. Now, by the way, and I've heard some great voices over time. So she is a Grammy-nominated, award-winning opera singer. Okay, she is not just a Grammy-nominated, award-winning opera singer. When she opens her mouth and starts singing, my goodness gracious! I hope you're sitting down.
Wow.
And guess what? You get a performance like that if you come to the New York City Experience. But also, John Rickenbacker is also known as Fudge, is a phenomenal performer. And he's performed all over the world, and he's sought out after. And I'm just blessed to know him as well. Like Lancelot, he's world renowned, and we're happy that he's going to be there. So we have celebrities who are out there, but we also have celebrities in the making because we're having people who are just getting on stages. people who haven't truly vocalized their brilliance, but they're doing it with us. And we're here to help everybody and anybody who needs to learn even how to negotiate how to get on a stage. And that's what we're doing with the New York City Experience. So once again, I'm going to ask, have you bought your ticket yet? Just asking.
And
Now,
and also on the website, for those that are listening that don't know or might not understand how to connect with others, there's a video on our website right now that you could go to and study and learn, because connecting is an art form as well. We don't like, it's not networking, it's connecting on a real spiritual realm. And once you learn how to connect in the proper way, then you understand how to maneuver in rooms like this and make the rooms work for you and make the experience work for you. So for those people who may be listening and you're unsure of what connecting is or how to connect, we have a video on our website that you can take a look at. But don't let that be the reason why you're not at our event on December 6th and 7th, because I promise you, it's life-changing to be around people or like-minded people. How I know that is because it's changed my life. And I've been around for a while, but the last couple of experiences I had with the New York Experience, the Born to Risk, Brandon Godoris's experience has changed my outlook on life, on people. And I'm much more, I told this before at the Born to Risk, my wife thought I was in a cult. She just could not understand these type of people. And I'm like, Mom, I'm telling you, it's not that. These people are real. But this is, this is the kind of thought process you have to go through. But I'm here to tell you, those that are listening, this is an experience of a lifetime that will change your life. So be there on December 6th and 7th.
it's very interesting that when we met your wife at the first New York City Experience, you had mentioned that to me, that she thought we were a cult, and then after the experience, she goes, "Okay, they're good people." but when we think about you talked about it changed your life, and a lot of people, what happens is that they're watching things happen. And they go like, wow, look at they're successful, look at how they're doing, look at this, look at that. And people are saying, how do you do this? How do you do that? But they're not getting in the rooms to talk to the people, to negotiate their future. Because I think getting into the right room will help you negotiate things that you never imagined. Look, I'm already signed up for Born to Risk come August. I'm there. Right? I went to my first one. It was the second one for Emilio and Daniela. And what a phenomenal, phenomenal event. Right? And when we think about the people that put things together, if they don't have the right energy, you're going to be in the wrong room.
Right.
Right?
That's
So
important too.
think about the energy that we are bringing. And Alethea said, I missed the first one. I missed the second one. There's no way I'm missing the third one. So she didn't say I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to participate in a bigger way than just showing up. So she's going to be on our stage. She's going to be speaking, and she's going to be helping those people who need to elevate. Because every time you go somewhere, I believe that, like I said before, to be a good leader, you need to be a good follower. And I will never have a coach who doesn't have a coach. That would be a mistake for me. I've fired many coaches because they were spewing out the same thing that they did from day one. I didn't know they were spewing the same thing. They never advanced. They never followed somebody. They didn't have guidance. So they only went with what little guidance they did earn, and then that's all they ever had. They never leveled. So for me, I need to do that. I train every single day. Why do I train? Because I need to get better.
Right.
I'm not getting better. What am I doing? I told you all earlier, I was up for many hours now, and my heart said, write. So I started writing.
Just Sifu, just to piggyback on that, because that's very important, growing every day. I say I have a regimen of things I do every morning. And one of them is I say to myself every morning, I am not who I was. I am who I am meant to become. So whatever happened yesterday,
Like that.
today I'm different because I'm a little bit better. And you say that every time I say, how you doing, Sifu? Hey, I'm blessed and I'm getting a little bit better every day. That stuff, when you say it every day to yourself, words are not just communications tools, they're reality shapers. So you can actually shape your reality by saying things like that.
That's
But that's
right.
very important. Very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. And Sifu, you just said something powerful about how you've had to fire coaches over the years. Well, I had an opposite experience, but it speaks to leadership. My first business coach, because I've been in business for like 20 years, but in terms of the level of success, and it was like part-time and hustling and all of that. Now for the last 2 years, it's been full-time. But my first business coach at the end of 2023, he lovingly fired me. And when I tell people, they're like, huh, how? It's because although he was wonderful, he said, I see so much more in you that I'm not able to take you to where you're really supposed to be. So you need to transition and find a coach who can get you to where God has created and intended you to be. And I felt like, what do you mean? But when I look back on it, that was one of the most humble, compassionate, true signs of a leader, because although he's excellent in his own right with what he does, when he knew that I had maxed out to the capacity of where he could take me, it was a gift for a leader to say, I don't want to keep you stagnant, because he said I could still keep taking your money and everything, and it would be like a hamster wheel. And I find that as a true leader, we even have to know when we can refer people to others, when somebody might not be our right fit, or even when we must transition from what we might currently do and evolve and catapult and grow into something else. And I think that is a sign of being transformative as a leader as well.
And resilient.
Uh-huh.
It's also important to understand that if you get fired as a coach, don't take it to heart. Take it as, what could I have improved? What could I have done differently? And a lot of times when you know, I've been an entrepreneur since 92. So just a little while. Right? And when we think about all the clients I've had, all the people, not one of them can come back and say, you were terrible, you were this, you were that, because I always gave them grace. If they ever said to me, hey, I'm considering going to go learn this thing or do this with this person, I'm like, go, please, by all means. But a lot of times, because they do go, right? And one of the things I always say is, true love is when you let someone go and they come back. Because I've had many people come back. And sometimes because they think the grass is greener somewhere else, right? And then they get whatever happens on the other side. And then they go, you know what? Grass is not greener. I messed up. And so I always have an open door policy. If you leave for whatever reason you want to do, that's cool. But if I leave and I don't see that there's an open door policy on your end, I'm not coming back. It's how we leave things off at the end of the day, right? Do I feel comfortable Are they comfortable? Can we be honest with each other? Because to me, a real good coach is going to be honest, and they're going to tell you the truth. Like, you suck. You are terrible at this. And I rather hear the truth than. And this is what I tell my clients all the time. I said, you want to lie to you? I'm going to just sugarcoat it for you so you feel good. What would you like? Like, wow, nobody ever said that to me. Please be honest. I say, well, you may not like what I'm about to tell you. And I think that comes into leadership, that comes into resilience, and that comes into transformation, because every time I take on a client, I transform too. It's not just their transformation, it's mine too. I'll leave it there. You guys can take it.
Yeah, well, real quickly, I'm going to comment on that, but Lance, you can tell your wife, yes, Born to Risk is a cult. I need you all to say, Emilio is our leader. Repeat after me.
Emilio is our leader. Emilio.
Yeah, see, she'll watch this and believe it. I'll be like, oh God, Lance is like, no, don't do that.
Emilio is our leader.
No, I agree with everything Sifu and Alethea.
Emilio is our leader.
Yes, thank you, Jose. Emilio will love that. So, I think a lot of us look back and say, at least I do. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, wow, I went through this or this challenge or that struggle, and maybe some people have regrets. But you know what? I have zero regrets, no matter how bad the situation was, the circumstance, because I know for a fact, if I didn't, let's say, follow the journey, if I didn't leave home at 18 and I didn't get involved in these, let's say, what they were, abusive relationships, if I didn't meet this person, if I didn't have my son when I did, it would not lead me to where I am now. I'd be a totally different person. This helped me to grow, taught me lessons so I can, pass that along to my son, my grandsons, whoever is in my community. That's made me, the person I am today. And of course it creates also like, hey, I've learned these lessons. I'm a little more cautious with people. And, I was very naive and young and trusting, but I had to go through that, to get where I am. If you don't fall down, you can't get back up. And again, I have to throw in a Big Bear thing. It's so funny. He used to tell me and my brother that when he was in Italy and his older brother, he fell down one time. And this is, of course, a lesson to teach you how, you got to pick yourself up. And he's like, he's crying for his mother. He's like, Mama, pick me up. And my dad's mom was like, come over here. I'll pick you up. If you listen to that, you get it. If you're coming over here, it means you already got up. So she did that to make him like, you get up, so, this is the lessons we learn and, the challenges we go through, no matter how bad. And, I look back and I'm like, wow, I went through that. That shouldn't have happened. Yeah, it should, because that was meant to happen to bring you where you are now.
I love that. I noticed there's a couple of people who gave us a little bit of hearts today. Giovanni Ramirez. Hey, brother. I know he's coming to the event.
Yo.
And then the other person who actually kind of gave us a little heart, but didn't say anything in here, is Clifford Starks. And I'm going to call Clifford out. And Clifford, we need to see you in New York, my friend. Let's go. They reach out to Clifford and tell him that he's got to be here. But here's the thing, right? Helicopter parents. We also cannot be helicopter coaches. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by helicopter parents, I deal with them all the time. I have a martial arts facility, and I start the kids sparring at 4 years old. They put on full gear. You got to see them. They look like little Michelin men fighting, right? The little boys. But here's the thing. When they fall down, it's very hard for them to get up. I do not let the parents try to run over. I'm like, nope, sit back down. They need to figure out, and they're in their back. They're like this. They have to actually turn over, get on their belly, and push off and get up. And even if it takes them 5 minutes, I give them the time to get up, because I want to teach the kids that sometimes no one is coming. You can't wait for someone. You need to do this on your own. And I'm teaching the parents that to give the kids that time to be resilient. Because if you pick them up every single time, you might as well put them in a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
in the bubble, right? So, but as coaches, as leaders, I believe that we need to sometimes let them fail because we learn from failure. I learn all the time. If I don't fail, I don't learn. So sometimes, yes, what do you think I go to work out at the gym for? To stress my body so it can grow. I'm not getting bigger, but I'm getting healthier. So every day I stress in a positive way, not a negative way. Where I anything that comes to me that's going to stress me in a negative way, I push it aside. I'm like, I'm not interested. I don't want that in my life. So I don't let negative stress in, but I let positive stress in because it helps me grow.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to chime in here real quick. I absolutely love everything you said. I think I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's many times where my kids fall, and whatever the case is, and if you just immediately go, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" Then they start crying. And I notice that if you don't do that, they just toughen up and they just say, "Hey," and they learn and they learn and they learn. So I'm reading this amazing book, and I just pulled it because I'm referencing something you just said. This is a current book I'm reading. I read usually 5 books at a time, and I just kind of read what speaks to me the most in that particular day. But this one is called Wild and Free Family, The Wild and Free Family. The subtitle is Forging Your Own Path to a Life Full of Wonder, Adventure, and Connection. Right? So it's a really powerful book, but it references here different types of parenting. And I'm just going to read something that I highlighted here. There's 5 very quick bullet points. That's literally in here, and it's the different types of parenting. So, and you referenced one of them, helicopter parents, which is literally right here in this book. So I'm going to reference it. There's a few different types of parenting. So helicopter parents, these are the ones who hover over their children to keep them safe all the time. The helicopter parents, right? And literally, we dropped off my son at his university, Embry-Riddle, and we were in the parents' meeting, a big gymnasium full of parents in Arizona. They said, "Don't be a helicopter parent to your child in school. Let them develop their will and all these different things and make some mistakes, and don't be the helicopter parent." So anyways, the next type of parent is the snowplow parents. And these are the ones who remove all obstacles from their children's paths, from getting them switched to a gifted class to calling the coach to make sure they get to play. That's the snowplow parents, right? Then there's the tiger parents. The tiger parents are the ones who believe in tough love and set high goals for their children's success and behavior. And then you have the jellyfish parents. Those are the ones who have a few loose rules and tend to be overly permissive, right? And of course, free-range parents. Free-range parents are the ones who build resiliency in their children by giving them more freedom to explore the world and make decisions, right? So anyway, just a couple of references, and I want to reference one more. Go ahead.
I have to jump in because there's a new one that maybe nobody has heard. It's how you doing, parent? It's you take care of my son, and I'm gonna, take care of you in a good way or a bad way. But here's the thing: I've had parents offer to pay me to advance their child. And they said, "Well, how much is it going to take?" I said, "Because integrity is what I teach." I looked them straight in the eyes and I said, "Practice." And I walked away. That's the only word I said. "Well, how much is it going to take?" I said, "Practice," and walked away. So that's how you doing, parent.
Yeah, integrity is not for sale. But one thing I can say for sure is a very quick story. And I'm saying this because it makes sense in terms of leadership, resilience, transformation. This is a story of me and Noah maybe 3 years ago when they were changing a roof on our house here. There was a big team of guys here. They were changing the entire roof on the house. They had a big, huge dumpster on the driveway and staples and tearing apart and all the things you can imagine, right? It was a big operation. It was like 20 guys on the property between the trash and the tearing of the one side while they were replacing the other side and the whole thing. And there was like all these cars in the street. I'm just giving you a visual. So, and this was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, when I used to still drive my son to school. I stopped driving him to school around 11th grade because that's when he got his driver's license and things, right? So up until 10th grade. So this is probably 9th grade, maybe something like that. And we were leaving in the morning and I said, hey, before we get in the car, I want you to observe the landscape. I want you to look at everything that's going on around this environment right now before we get in the car. So he's like observing, and we're just kind of standing like posted on the car, and he's just kind of looking around. He's looking at the roof. He's looking at the dumpster. He's looking at the guys on the street. He's looking at different things. And then I said, okay, let's get in the car. And we started driving. And every morning for many years since he was in 4th grade, driving to school every morning, it's like a solid, the first 5 years, it was an hour drive where I had him by myself for an hour every morning and every hour on the way home. Eventually became a half hour. So I can tell you that I had a lot of quality time, and I always gave him talks because, again, leadership, resilience, transformation requires you to pour into the people that you care about and that you lead, right? So I said to him this particular morning, listen, what did you notice about the operation that was going on? He said, I noticed they're changing the roof. I said, what else is deeper than that? He's like, well, there's some guys working and there's some guys that were doing different jobs. I said, yes, precisely. But what did you notice about those different jobs? So he didn't really get it. So I said, let me just explain it to you. I'll cut to the chase just to make the long story short. I said, listen, if you notice, there was a chain of command of what was going on in that operation. There were the guys that were doing the trash, that were just focused on the trash. Doesn't take much thought and effort to do that. Then there's guys that have more expertise that were on the roof, physically changing the roof. And they were doing all these things, and there were, less guys up there. And there were more guys on the ground doing the trash. And there were less guys doing the physical work that required more expertise and knowledge, but hard work. And then there was a guy that was at the truck that was enjoying his coffee, that was on the phone every now and then and had a clipboard and was just kind of like, hanging out in his driver's seat and walking around every now and then. If you notice, that happened even while he was there. And he would be like, hey, not that, the other one. Yeah, okay, good. And then he went back to enjoy his coffee and his donut. And I said, if you notice, the guy that is on the street is the one directing the operation. And he, I promise you, gets paid the most. And he is doing the least amount of work when it comes to physical labor. So I said, you decide, Noah, what lot in life you want to have. Do you want to be with the masses, putting the trash and fixing the trash in the dumpster there? Do you want to be with the people that are on the roof doing that expertise? And there's nothing wrong with these different positions of work, because work is work and a paycheck is a paycheck. But I said, if I were you, I know what I would want to do. I would want to be the guy in charge, enjoy my coffee, not breaking a sweat, and just directing what needs to happen and making sure everybody's getting the job done. That's what I would want to do. So you decide what you want to do. And I told him, what I'm going to do in my role as a father and as a dad and as a leader is I'm going to position you to win. And I'm going to put you in every possible position to be successful in life. But I can't want it more for you than you want it for yourself. So you decide where you want to be on that roof. And that's the lesson that I gave him. He understood and embraced it. But that's the power. Again, it goes back to leadership. Is as leaders, we are required to pour into the people that we serve, whether it's family or clients, prospects, mentees, whatever it is. We have to tell them what it is, because sometimes people need to hear it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Also, that leader, in order to be able to know what goes where and so forth, maybe he did all those jobs prior, but he elevated himself. A lot of times we forget that leader did all the work. He did all the hard things. And then he understood that there is a level of elevating oneself. But if he never wanted more, he wouldn't be the leader. He would still be picking trash, because I've seen construction jobs where I've ran some of them where people who should be in a leader position are not nearly there at all. because they don't want the responsibility, or they don't want what they call the headache, which is not really a headache if you know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, I love that. I'm just going to jump in real quick because I actually have to go and take my mom to an appointment. But I loved your story, Jose. That's a great lesson for, for Noah. And like Sifu said, yeah, he probably was, in a lower position at some point. And that's what you have to teach also, right? Because you can't start at the top. When you build a house, you put the foundation first, right? We all know that. And then you go up. So, a lot of kids, I think, if you're given everything, born with a silver spoon in your mouth, as they say, whatever, you're not going to learn the lessons that, say, a kid that has to work for everything, and like I shared in the last time on this show, is like, I taught my son that from little, you have to earn, your keep. He would get up, he didn't come out of his room at 5 years old, because this is how I grew up. Make your bed, your room is clean. You don't come out and you're like, no, you come out and you're awake and you're a good morning, mom, and good morning, you have to have respect. You teach them when they're young, because, how your kids are at home, if you allow them to jump on the sofa, and when you bring them to somebody's house, that's what they're going to do, so you have to teach them. And I would love to see my son jump on the sofa when he was a little boy. I would love to see that. No, that wouldn't happen. Like you have to have these rules so they know, so they go out into the world. The world is not going to be, if you control your kids and give them everything and always agree with them and don't let them know that, hey, you're not always right, or that's what they're going to expect from the world. And they're going to get a rude awakening, because the world is not like that. I was never one of those parents, like in schools, like, oh, not my kid. I was actually like, yeah, probably was him, but I want to learn, probably was Anthony, but I want to hear from, not like, the kids come home, they tell their parents something, and right away the parents are like, at the school. Learn what the situation is first, because you know what, it probably was your kid, and that's the lesson that, you have to, the kids have to know that the world is not a friendly place. And not everyone's going to agree with you. So I love Jose's story. And, we already know how Jose is, teaching his kids. And that needs to be, unfortunately, it's not taught in schools, how to navigate through life. They don't teach life skills and finances and how to be an entrepreneur. It's unfortunate, and I know Jose homeschools his kids, so they are learning all that, and I love that. And I tell people all the time, if I could do it over, I would have homeschooled my son, had I known what I known when I had put him through school, But anyway, this has been great, guys. Thank you for having me. I have to exit to take my mom to an appointment.
And I know that.
Bye,
I want to listen to Alethea real quick now.
Yeah, so I know that you have to hop, but I just take joy, and I'm beaming hearing this, because as many of you know, I was a public school educator for 20 years as a teacher, leader, ended in HR, and you all are the parents that are the educator's dream. So thank you. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
Thank you, guys. Have a blessed day.
All right, Daniela. Take care.
Big Bear, right? I'm reading this one next, and then this one, because Jen is also in the CLA, and she's maybe coming to talking about becoming the warrior. This is a powerful woman right there, and she may be coming also, so she's getting back to me on it. And then for those of you who need to pick up the Big Bear, I know when I read it, I'm going to probably cry like everybody else has.
Yes,
so,
I know I did.
So thank you, Daniela, and really appreciate
you. God bless you.
Thank you. Actually, when she said God bless you, I said God did, because I know. It's the people that we are in front of. They're a blessing if we allow them to be. Like Alethea, you're such a blessing, my dear, and you two gentlemen as well. So thank you for being in my life and impacting me in so many different ways, in ways you don't even know.
And you have definitely been a blessing to me, and I am thankful for you and all of you gentlemen have influenced my life in some way. I just had a real conversation with Lancelot the other day, and even in that call, I mean, just so many contacts and connections and similarities, and the world is really small. And so just all of you, of course, Jose knows, and I'm open about it. I know that he is so humble and doesn't want to brag on himself, but he's my business coach now for over a year. And the way God has used him to just really give me back a lot of my spark and excitement, and to just know I'm purpose for what I'm doing has really been phenomenal. And Sifu, you have been incredible, my brother, even for you to have a platforms as you do, really get people to share their experiences and stories have been absolutely incredible, because I am living, even when I think about leadership and transformation, I am living in a season of answered prayers. And that is absolutely beautiful. And I'm talking about secret, private prayers, some that I didn't even articulate out loud, but would say in my head to God, and living in that is absolutely amazing to me. And so I would encourage leaders to continue daily working and being intentional on what you are supposed to do and how you can continue to transform, even when it's uncomfortable, because sometimes people see where we are now and have no idea of the cost it currently takes and the prices we've paid to even be where we are, and we're not even finished. And it's not easy, it's not comfortable, but is it worth it? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, I want to share. I want to share this because I want to call out for sponsors. Monique McDonald, world-class opera singer, nominated and so forth, and has sung in so many different stages and huge venues. She's not only going to be a speaker at our event, but she's also a Liberty sponsor. And there's 5 different levels of sponsorship that we can get people into. So we're calling out for sponsors who want to be in a room that's going to help elevate them and even their products and services. So think about that, because one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to have some of the sponsors on the show. We're going to maybe have their commercials on the show, depends on the level of sponsorship. So if you're considering doing anything in your business that will help elevate you, we will help promote you. So think about that. Thank you. Go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, very quickly. I have a hard stop in 2 minutes. I have a call at 8 o'clock, but I wanted to just chime in real quick to say the following 2 things, major points. Number 1 is Alethea Felton is a tremendous, tremendous leader. I wanted to give her a shout out because I have worked with many different people over my time, and by far she is absolutely amazing to work with. She is coachable. She has a strong work ethic. She is resilient. She makes no excuses, and she's just an overall good person, great heart. So when it comes to leadership, when it comes to resilience, this is your go-to person. Alethea Felton is phenomenal. If you don't know Alethea, you need to know Alethea. Her community, Resilient Leaders Alliance, amazing. She has tremendous community there with some awesome people, of which I'm a part of, by the way. So I encourage you to connect with Alethea, learn more about RLA. It's an amazing community, all around resilience and leadership and all the things, and just amazing. And again, she does many other things, but I encourage you to connect with Alethea. I'm a huge, huge fan. So big shout out to you. I'm excited to see you physically in New York City for the NYC Experience round 3, and it's going to be December 6th and 7th. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. The last thing I'll say very quickly in 30 seconds is this is my calendar for the moment, but as you can see, it's there's a lot going on, right? There's a lot going on because guess what? Jose Escobar is ready to win big in Q4. We are in it, folks. This is Q4 of the year. My question to you, whoever's watching this replay or catching this live, how bad do you want to finish strong in 2024?
That's
What
right.
are some goals that are lingering that you haven't hit yet? Right? We have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired of setting goals and not hitting goals. We need to become goal hitters. And part of being a goal hitter is setting the goal, creating a plan, checking in on the plan, being massive executionists when it comes to pulling the trigger on things, having the discipline, the consistency, the laser focus to see it through and be fully committed. So this is Q4, folks. I encourage you, give it your best effort, get into 6th gear. And all of you have one more gear that you're not in. I assure you, there's a gear that you are not in right now that you can easily just shift into the next gear. And the momentum that you need to finish this year strong and to go into 2026 at the highest level awaits you in New York City, December 6th and 7th. You need to be there. Get your ticket today. Do not delay. Let's get rid of excuses. Let's be all in. Let's get into the next year and let's evolve together come December 6th and 7th. I'll be there. I look forward to seeing you there.
Listen, just text to 516-242-8732 and text NYC. We'll make sure you get in the room. Alethea, Lancelot, Jose, God bless you all. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everybody.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Bye.
Alethea, I'll see you later.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, guys.
Sifu Rafael, Lancelot, Jose Escobar, Jose Escobar. Hit the floor, we don't miss. Baseline jump like a first kiss. No chill, no stress, no doubt. Truth, emotion, that's what we about. Let's go. No time to wait. Bass too loud and the vibe too great. Let's